In this session, I like to talk about false self as opposed to true self. We as a human beings had made a huge mistake regarding our true self. To find our true self, we identified ourselves with the things that are not our true self. Number one on identification is that we think we are this body. First of all, we have to realize one important rule, that we really have to understand that anything that has been manifested in this world is gonna go and die and get destroyed and is gonna be mortal at one time or another. So if we identify ourselves by anything that is changing and is gonna die one day and is gonna get destroyed, is a false self. That can include this body, which is gonna change, is changing at every second, and is gonna get older and is gonna get destroyed one day. If I am identifying myself with this body, I am gonna have a lot of pain, and I'm not gonna find my way, because this is totally the false self. This body is gonna get destroyed. So therefore, if I fall in love with this body, I'm gonna always have pain, and I'm gonna always suffer. Same thing with this mind. This mind is constantly changing. There are 60,000 thoughts goes into this mind, which moves around constantly. And if I identify myself with the things that going on in this mind, I'm going to always have pain. Number three, the same thing with the emotion. Anything that goes in the mind, immediately the emotional reaction of that takes place within split second in our body. That emotion is not also permanent, it's temporary. It comes and it goes. So if I identify myself with that emotion, I'm going to have a lot of pain. Same thing with illnesses, same thing with people that we love outside, there are possessions. Anything that is not eternal, and we fall in love with that's going to bring us pain. From one side, it is pleasure and happiness, but the other side of the coin comes with it, which is a pain and suffering. So the ego identification is our wrong self, or our false self. That means we created a self that is not real, that is based on whatever is going on in our mind, in our chattering mind, which is sometimes anger, sometimes good judgment, sometimes bad evaluations, and all that. And therefore, if we are evaluating and identifying ourselves with that part of us, that aspect of us, we're going to have a lot of pain. So the self-realization helps us to go within and discover something different, something eternal. And that is nothing but the peace, joy, and that authentic love that we're going to experience, which we already talked about that. So, and therefore, we notice that that is exactly what we are. And that is the kind of a source that we need to fall in love with. So we're going to fall in love with that energy for the first time. And not only we fall in love with that, therefore we're going to see the same exact energy in everybody else outside. And we see all of a sudden the unity. And the unity consciousness is going to happen in our lives. From outside, nothing is going to happen to us. We are the same human being. But a person who has been enlightened from inside, that person, her vision, her view, her way of life is completely different. The other thing that our mind likes to do is to try to identify ourselves with our history, with our past. Whatever happened in our past is already gone, and is gone, is dead. So it is a wrong thing for us to identify ourselves with what happened in the past. So we are not our history. We are not this body. We are not the mind. We are not the emotion that comes with the mind. We are not our belongings. We are not our family. We are not our job. Because if you are connected and identify with that particular job, for example, the moment we lose the job, who are we then? So that is why we need to go within and discover that true self, so that we identify ourselves only with that source, which is the most important thing in this universe. That love is always available and is nothing to do with the time and space. It is always available to us. To any time that we feel suffering, we have to know that we have been detached from that. The path of self-realization and meditation also teaches us how to quiet the mind, the chattering mind, which is like a cloud on top of this source of energy, source of love within us. Try to stop and try to quiet the mind so that this gaps between the minds gets more and more, so that we can feel that authentic energy of peace and joy within. So to wrap up our talk, our discussion here is that, first of all, we have to understand that our face, our view, our vision for identification shouldn't be outside but inside, and we have to concentrate on the source, the actual root. First of all, we have to go and discover that. Once we discover that source, we would identify and we fall in love with that source and nothing else. Nothing else.